So, does anything I just said, kind of ring any bells for you in the experience that is happening within the Baltics as a communist?
Yes, unfortunately, a lot of these events that you listed, they are happening right now in the Baltics as well, and they have been happening for a pretty long time, including all these profilings that you mentioned, the ethnic animosity that is being deliberately incited by the government, the ferocity, the violence against people who come from other countries, especially from the Arab-speaking countries, from Africa. Because if you read European news, that you will then you will find a lot of information about the so-called migrant crisis, as the capitalist media referred to it. But this crisis was caused exactly by the very same imperialist powers and their lackeys. So first they destroy, exploit, and loot all of these countries that are located in West Asia, in Africa, in Latin America, and then they pretend to wonder where all these refugees, these migrants come from. And this animosity is actually universal right now for the for the capitalist imperialist world, because right now they need to divide the workers along these ethnic, national, race lines in order to maintain control. And if you read news stories from the United States, from Canada, from Europe, from Russia, then you will notice the same trend, the trend of hatred against the migrants. It's increasing everywhere in unison. Essentially, these Eastern European regimes, the sanitary buffer that was erected by EU and US imperialism. Basically, we are told to act as this sort of fascist policeman. So we're constantly injuring and murdering all of these migrants at the border. If you read the news, if you read Doctors Without Borders and Amnesty International reports, then you will see these photos and video recordings of people with their ribs broken, with their limbs broken, coughing up blood, or, for example, simply freezing to death. So all of these border troops in the Baltics and Poland, they refuse medical treatment. And if it's winter time, then they simply leave people to freeze to death. And a lot of these migrants, they don't have warm clothing. They have summer clothing and they don't have adequate supplies. And the Belarusian border guards who rescued these migrants. So what the Baltic and Polish nationalists do, they simply beat these people up, they rob them, they take away all of the money, their telephones, so there would be no evidence. They take away the passports, any and all documents, and other vital belongings, such as warm clothing, and then they simply dump people on the other side of the border. And the Belarusian border guards pick them up, and they record all of these instances of brutal beatings, torture using stun batons, and cattle prods, and just vicious beatings. And a lot of these people,
Yeah.
unfortunately, succumb to the injuries. And they record and publish this extensively. And during the last 10 years, hundreds of migrants were killed or severely beaten to the point of becoming disabled.